Hello everyone, my name is Gio from Switchrpg.com. I am a co-host for the Switch RPG podcast. We have put together a list of the top 10 action RPGs on the Nintendo Switch to date. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, visit podcast.switchrpg.com. All right, next on our list is number 10. Number 10, we're breaking through the top 10 here. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is a third-person action RPG, and it's I guess you could call it your poor man's Witcher 3, but this game actually came out before The Witcher 3. This game came out initially like in 2013 or something, but it was just set as the Dragon's Dogma, and then it got an expansion and they kind of added stuff and fixed a lot of things in the quest line with the Dark Arisen expansion, and in my opinion, this has a better combat, and it does combat better than The Witcher 3. I love the enemies in this game. For example, you take on I think it's a chimera, or it's like got a lot of that, like, I guess it's kind of the same stuff as The Witcher, same kind of enemies that The Witcher 3 invokes, but it's got a lot of cool spells and locations. It's one of the first ones that we've mentioned on here that's an open world RPG. It's got pawns you can bring along with you that are actually from other people, so other people put their pawn into this kind of like this pawn hub world. Wait, I should not say that, right? Pawn hub. Anyway, sorry. Anyways, it's got this this world where you can put your pawns in, and you essentially take other people's pawns. You're actually leveling up their character as well. So you can take up to 3 of those guys, and so they're helping you out. So it's just your party of 4 just going on and just taking on dragons and all that stuff. So I absolutely love this game. I always recommend this game because it's an older game, but it's new to the Switch, and it plays really, really well on the Switch. The music is cool. Like I had mentioned, the enemy designs are cool. It's got a lot of customization, a lot of branching narratives. It's got everything you want in a cool Western RPG.
And this is the definitive edition of it. It's got the expansion elements to it and all the enhancements that came to the PC version. The Switch version has all of those fixes and updates that made a flawed game when it initially released on console, made it better because they just took the extra time to polish and refine the rough edges of the game.
Right. Just stay away from the Pawn Hub world. Next on our list at number...
Just wanted to let people know.
Okay.
Right, if they're wondering the criteria, I should have brought this up earlier. Criteria that we're sort of assessing the placement of these. We put a bigger emphasis on the action elements, but it's not solely... We're not basing this list, the rankings of these games, solely on their action. We're basing it on the entirety of their RPG-ness and the overall quality of all of that, in addition with a little bit of extra emphasis on the action. But this is not solely based on just the action of these action RPGs. So some of these games are just so good quality-wise, even though they're not as good action, they are highly up there. But there's also some games that are excellent action and are not so good on everything else, and they're also on here. So take that in consideration. We can now go back to number 9.
Number 9, a game that got a lot of I think it got a lot of hate when it was originally released.
Deservedly.
What's that?
Deservedly.
Well, all the hate wasn't on this console. It got a lot of love and praise, and I'm one of them. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection. So this is the culmination of all the expansions, the fixes. We got it all included. And you can have Ganon, Ganon's armor set. You can have, what is it? Is it a cuckoo that you can have, or a pet? I don't know. They Nintendofied it a little bit, but it is a Diablo game. A lot of people know what Diablo is at this point. It's an isometric action RPG where you got tons of enemies, tons of blood and gore, a lot of numbers, s- skills. I think it's a little it's a lot more simplified in this, where how you
Oh, I
level
don't.
up your character. You don't think it is?
No,
No.
I think the change that they made, and I think it's a brilliant change, how they got rid of the character build system where you had the
Okay.
skill tree, they had to level up. They got rid of it, and instead they made it you acquire new abilities that you then select as part of your loadout, your active build, and they kind of give you the keys to the car. Think of they basically allow you to change your build on the
On the
fly
fly. Yep.
whenever you want,
Mm-hmm.
instead of having to roll a brand new character, which is something that you had to do in Diablo 2. There was no respec option in Diablo 2, and in Diablo 3, they got away they done away with that because they wanted to encourage respecking, changing your build. You level up, you get something more significant in your level up, which is a brand new ability or a passive, whatever that skill may be. That is way more interesting to me than getting another point to put into a tree that I already pre-planned where that point's going to go. So it's like, oh, I got the points, now I can get 5% more fireball damage.
Right.
Big whoop.
Mm-hmm. What their again what their level up process promotes is, say for example, you get this new item, an item you weren't even looking for or trying to get. That item can start a build.
Yeah.
Totally different again than what you were thinking, and all of a sudden you can take all your points off and just kind of build around this one little piece of armor that you're like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. And then you can just build your skills around that one piece of armor. And then
Yeah,
eventually fill it all the rest of your armors in.
yeah. As you just said, right? Like you got a chain lightning skill that you never use,
Mm-hmm.
but a piece of gear dropped that gives chain lightning. It bounces to 5 more enemies,
Right.
and
Eh,
now you're like, whoa, I gotta try that. And then
right.
you cook chain lightning and you shoot an enemy, and then it bounces to 5 more enemies, and it kills, instead of one, it kills 6 enemies, and you're like, yeah, all
Eh,
right, this is my build now.
right. Yeah, and you could just kind of like spawn off an idea off of that. One thing that it does kind of lack, and this is just my opinion, is the narrative is, and the end game is I don't know. It's just it needs something else. So ultimately, you just keep playing for the one special piece of, or your ultimate build set, and that's
Yeah,
it.
and
But
that's what Diablo is all about.
yep.
But yeah, it is phenomenal, and it is a great, solid game.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, the biggest flaw is the story and the plot and how they handled that. That is the biggest flaw of Diablo. The
Yeah.
combat is excellent, top-notch stuff, but it's not anything new. And I will say, it actually plays better on the Switch compared to PC because
It plays really well. Yeah.
you have that dodge roll, which is something that the PC version does not have,
It
and
doesn't
that
have
makes it doesn't have that, and that makes a big difference when you have a dodge roll in addition to your cooldown defensive abilities. You got
Yeah.
that dodge roll as well. That's super useful.
Wow, I did not know that wasn't on the PC. I initially played it on the PC, but I got to admit the console version it plays well on a controller. I had no issues there. The button mappings are really well. The action is it's just constant action. I love it. I do like the gameplay style. So yeah, Diablo 3 Eternal Collection number 9. Number 8 plays a little bit off of what Diablo does in terms of isometric action, but I think it does some other stuff maybe a little bit better. And that is narrative. I think Children of Morta at number 8 is just a notch above Diablo 3 because of its narrative. I absolutely love the story in this game. Not to mention the combat is really good. It's your roguelike game, roguelike dungeon crawler, I guess you could call it.
Yep. Yep.
But it's got the Wizard of Legend touch to it. So we had mentioned Wizard of Legend as an honorable mention. This game plays off of that, and it does it better. It
Yeah.
does it better. It is like I said, it's a roguelike game. It's not permadeath. You're constantly improving you or even your family or your family members. There's a lot of skill upgrades there, and you're always driving the actual story forward, which is what I really like about this game.
The only penalty for dying is your run through a subset of dungeon levels. That run has ended.
Yeah.
But you're not losing any progress, right? You're in whatever items that you acquired during that run, that you lose that as well, but you're keeping all the experience you gained. You're getting that gold that you collected. You're going to use that to further progress your family, your characters, and how you build them out.
Yeah. Like I had mentioned, it does great things. So you can play as I don't remember how many characters it is off the top of my head. Let's say it's 6 family members. So you can level them up individually, but then you have the another thing where you can unlock or level up the family, so the family gets bonuses. And I think that's just a kind of a cool mechanic that was implemented in this game.
And it encourages playing multiple characters because they'll even if you like the playstyle of one particular character, playing the other characters will make the character that you really like playing better because
Mm-hmm.
they'll become stronger because of those family bonuses that you unlock.
Right, and every character plays different. So you have range characters, you have really close up melee characters, sword character. Like there's just so many different play styles. And one of the things that is kind of cool. So I really liked Linda. Linda was the archer, and I think you feel the same way. She's probably one of the better characters. And if you play too much of the same character, there's actually drawbacks. So you actually do less damage. You have, I think it's less HP as well, but you do less damage. So it's encouraging you to really kind of play other people as well to figure that out. So yeah, this is one of the games I always recommend. It's kind of a hidden gem, I think. Not many people really think about Children of Morta, but I absolutely love Children of Morta.
And it has co-op.
As co-op. That's
It's
your thing.
it's excellent.
Number 7, a game no one's probably heard of, but we're still going to mention it. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Elder Scrolls V this game is available on everything. I mean, heck, I can play it on a toaster. It's just everywhere. I remember when this game first came out. I had been playing Fallout 3. All of a sudden, Bethesda's like, we're coming out with Elder Scrolls again. It's Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and you can fight dragons. And I was like, what? It was just insane. It's an awesome open world RPG, and like there's just so much to do. It can be kind of overwhelming. Like just like where do I start? What do I do? What do I go see? It's almost like you just see something off in the distance, and then off you go, and then the main story just sits there and waits.
And they reward you for just going off the beaten path. They give you that objective, like here's the next major story thing to do. Like here's where it is. Here's where you need to go. Right, that little dot on your compass. But you don't do that.
No.
You go somewhere. You see something off in the distance. That looks interesting. You just go there. You go off the beaten path, and all of a sudden you go down this rabbit hole of multi side quest oriented things that just become more and more engaging and interesting. When I first stumbled onto the mage college,
Oh yes.
I didn't know what it was, but then I got there. I'm like, this is a school for mages, and I did all the quests over there. I it got crazy just following that completely side thing that you can miss. You can absolutely miss that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just one element from one area of the world that I just happen to explore. Now, there's other parts of the world where they'll refer to one another, so they give a lot of hints as to interesting places to spot and locate. But there's so many places all
Yeah.
throughout the world that you wanna that is worth your time exploring. There isn't a single place that you go to and travel to that won't be worth your time. It's
Yeah.
just a good time everywhere.
I feel like I felt like every building was open. I could go in every single building and, you know, talk to people or steal their stuff or whatever I wanted to do. It was just so much fun. Now I will say like the actual combat, like the spells are on par, but the actual swordsmanship, I guess you could say, feels a
Range
little.
combat.
Yep, the range combat's good too. But just like it's a little floaty, like the sword handling and hitting. It doesn't always feel like you're hitting, spot on. And I think most of that is from just it being first person. Now there is a third person view. I don't really recommend it. It doesn't. It's not how it was intended to be played.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a prototypical Western RPG. Got tons of branching narratives. Man, what a good game. It is and it's the reason why it's on everything, because everyone should be playing this game. It really is everywhere.
It's legendary. Everyone's aware of it if they
Mhm.
haven't already played it. It's just absolutely fantastic. And the Switch version is essentially one of the definitive versions of the game that you can play. And it even has like Link outfits, right? Like
Oh, that's
the
right.
Breath of the Wild tunic, blue tunic thing that you can wear and whatnot.
They Nintendo-fied it a little bit.
A
Nice.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I have not played it on the Switch. I played it on, I think it was on Xbox. So, yeah, number 7. Awesome. Awesome, awesome game. Number 6, another one kind of in the same vein as this, kind of one of your legendary games, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. Again, you had just mentioned it. It's the ultimate version. It's got all the DLC. It's The Witcher 3. Graphically, it's a little it's better than maybe Elder Scrolls, and it's running on the Switch. This now obviously we're not running PCs here. This isn't going to look exactly like that, but for what it is to run on inferior hardware, it is awesome, and it's got everything else you want. It's got the good action combat. It's got the fantastic. I love the Witcher lore. I'm big into that. I've read books. I've watched the shows. I'm all into The Witcher. Now The Witcher 3 does stuff a little bit different, but man, is it good! It rewards you for that exploration, and also the side quests feel they're interesting, and some of them are meaningful, except for Gwent, not meaningful, but will take up your time. um, but yeah, I loved absolute and me myself, I prefer The Witcher 3 over Elder Scrolls, but they are both excellent games.
Yeah, yeah. They're excellent, and there is a time difference between the two, right? Like
Right.
I think it's like 5 years difference between Witcher and Elder Scrolls 5, or maybe 4 years. There's a fairly significant gap between the two,
Almost a,
and
almost a console generation, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, it is a console
Is it
generation
is it?
too. Yeah,
I
because
guess
Skyrim came out on the 360
there you
era.
go. Okay. Well,
Uh,
that'll do it, right?
and the big thing with that Witcher just absolutely nails is just the immersion into this world, and it does not break character whatsoever, except for probably Gwent. Other than Gwent, like you're not breaking character. You are in this world, and the world is always going to be appear as grounded and realistic within its own definition of realistic as it can be,
Hmm.
and it's never going to sort of deviate from that, and everything that you are experiencing will make sense in the context of this excellent presented world that it gives you.
Right.
And it gives you things like you go to random towns, you look at the little bulletin board thing, you pick up a bunch of side quests that could be, kill this monster that's been terrorizing stuff, and that just turns into its own little mini adventure. And there's
Right.
just
And
so
even
many.
they go kill this monster. And it turns out like it's not even a monster. It's something that you may want to save. I've dealt with mission side quests like that in there. And it includes the DLC. The DLC is actually like if The Witcher 3 is a massive game. And
Yeah,
then the DLC on top of that is it makes this game even more massive. I don't think like people complain because this game is like it's a miracle that number one, it's on a cartridge, a single cartridge, and like it's just like I forgot what I was gonna say. The DLC alone is 50, at least 50 hours, and that's not even including the main game. And the DLC is actually really good. Blood and Wine and oh shoot, what is the other one? Um, I don't remember off the top of my head. But they're actually very good.
yeah. It could be a little too daunting to
Yeah.
sort of pick up and go, because Witcher 3 is, as you said, it is a big game. There's a
Mm.
lot of content there, and sometimes, big, giant, content heavy games with hundreds of hours of playtime is, you know, can be intimidating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh for sure. For sure. Number five. Meh.
Top five.
Top five. I quit. I'm not doing it. Go ahead, Johnny.
Number five is Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, and this is an excellent iteration of an excellent prior gen game that has been brought to the Switch with all the extra content. So Tales of Vesperia was exclusive, at least in the West, on the 360, but then they made a Tales of Vesperia in Japan with extra content, essentially an expansion to the game and its world and its characters. You actually had another character, playable character, in your party
Mm-hmm.
in that place PS3 expanded version that was Japan only, and that never made it here to the States until Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, which has all of that and the added the additions of running a full 1080p 60 frames per second during combat. Just very nice, fast, fluid, beautiful looking game back then. Still a very good looking game today, and the fact that everything is presented as best as it can be. And for a Tales series game, that had this one was one of the more mature, more complex, nuanced storylines that's out there. And the combat is both easy to get into at first, but also gets layered on. Probably about a third of the way through the game, there is some significant more layerings to that get added onto the combat that really start to make it come into its own. And then you combine all that with the whole multiplayer co-op
Mm.
that this game allows, and it's local co-op too. So you can just hand someone a controller and you tell them, do you want to play as the dog with the pipe, or do you want to play as the kid with the big giant stick? Or do you want to play as the girl that has two colored socks, two different socks?
Yes.
Like you pick. Like there's later on, if you want, there's going to be this girl that rides a whale dragon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I didn't get to it took a while for me to grasp the combat and to be honest, I didn't really like the combat. But I liked everything else about it. I liked the narrative. I liked the aesthetic, the look of it. The overworld was okay. It wasn't too, it was
Yeah.
it was just okay. But everything else, like the music was really interesting. The characters are very interesting. The dog with the pipe, I didn't get it. but it is awesome. And I think with me, I just needed to, I just had some sort of mental block with the combat. I don't know what it was. I think I do need to give it another shot because I feel like I'm missing out on this.
It is a very very solid game. It's not the best of Tales combat games, but when it comes to action RPG, Tales is essentially what you would see a Tales game or the Tales series is what you'd see in the encyclopedia definition of action RPG. It's like Tales has done it for so long
Hmm.
and has done it so well for so long
Yeah.
that it kind of gets overlooked, but it is a tried and true. Just like how traditional JRPG, Dragon Quest is so traditional in being that turn-based, style RPG. Tales is the traditional action RPG that's
Right.
so tried and true that doesn't deviate too much. And Vesperia is one of the best of the Tales games.
Hmm. I gotta give it another go. I'm missing out on something. Number four. Oh, every time I look at this name of number four, I quickly so want to go to Amazon and just buy this game. Go ahead and give it to me, Johnny.
This is like the monkey wrench in all of this. It's
It really.
all the way at number 4, and this thing kind of came out of nowhere. It is Astral Chain. The game I was never into cops at all. Never into like cop movies or TV shows or anything like that, detective stories and whatnot. I was not a Batman fan. Like all that stuff appealed to me, but for some stupid reason, Astral Chain just the weirdness and quirkiness and just blatant copiness of this game. And it is a copy game. It is so copy. I'm not saying copy like copy printer. I'm
Like
talking
Policeman. Yeah.
police. Yes, you are a legitimate police officer. This is you are. If you want to role play a police officer game, forget about L.A. Noir. Forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
This is your game because it just does not. So it's from Platinum Games, so the action
Action.
is going to be absolutely solid.
Yeah.
And I can easily say this is the best action game by far that Platinum Games has ever put out. And I own Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2. I've played games that Platinum Games have made that weren't prior to when they were Platinum Games, right?
Heck,
This is
we've dedicated an almost entire podcast to Platinum Games. So
yeah. I played Vanquish, and this is their best one by a landslide. There are so many different things that are going on in the combat, but they layer it. It is a little intimidating at first because it is very different.
yeah.
But especially when you try to learn your baton, your police baton has 3 different modes of function where and each of those modes has their own combo system to it. So you could do range attack with your baton where it turns into like a gun baton. You can do fast combo heavy just regular baton attacks, or you could turn your baton into like this big giant two-handed almost big giant great baseball bat kind of things, baseball bat sword thing, and just cricket bat, almost like a cricket bat, and just whack enemies two-handed style to really lay on that heavy damage that's needed in certain scenarios. And all of those things are just half of the worry that you have to do when it comes to the other side of the game, which is the astral chain that connects to this chimera creature that is essentially your buddy, your little police dog or weird archer thing or sword dude or weird like juggernaut gauntlet. I don't know, big giant thing. I don't know what to call it. It's like a titan
A
thing.
giant monster thing.
Yeah, you can kind of like ride inside. It's almost like a mech suit as well. Like each of them have their own unique abilities, their own unique play styles. They can have an AI temporarily control them. They have their own unique activatable powers with their own cooldowns, and you can control them at the same time of controlling your own character, where your character is on the left stick and the Astral Chain connected Chimera that you are also controlling at the same time is on the right stick. And you have to manage both of those. And depending on the positioning between your character and your Astral Chain character, that you can use that to your advantage. For example, if the enemy is about to do a dash attack towards you, you can split the difference between your character and the other character and stretch the chain across that so that the enemy dashes into the chain. You then catch them and sort of clothesline throw them to the environment. There's like crazy stuff you can do. You can sort of wrap your chimera chain, astral chain around an enemy to bind them in place to then do big heavy combos. There's a lot to the combo system and to just the combat overall. And then there's the other half of the game of just exploring, doing detective work,
Yeah.
talking to various NPCs, taking notes, finding clues, and there's multiple clues, but you don't need to find them all in order to progress the next story beat. But the more you find, the more thorough of a detective you are, the more points you're going to get. Also, you get quizzed. You're sort of piecing together as you sort of find enough clues. You don't need to find them all, but as you find enough, you can kind of talk to another individual and piece together like, oh, here's what I think happened based on the information I found, and they quiz you on that. And you have to be fairly savvy. You can always look back at your notes that you've been taking throughout and sort of come up with the best possible answer that you think is correct, and that will have an impact on your scoring and your progress in there, and you get rewarded for that. You get rewarded for killing enemies, whether it be just from regular experience or for drops that can happen from enemies. Just there's a lot to the game, and then the world, just existing within the world, is very different. It's not the world as we know it. It is a very different world where
Right.
aliens invaded and have taken over most of the planet. And now you live on like this weird island, special Tokyo thing. It's bonkers. It's weird. It makes sense as you play it, and it's incredible. It's a well thought out game, well thought out world, and the story is actually good. It's not throwaway.
Right.
It's not something that is. It might actually make you tear up.
Oh boy. I don't want to do that. I don't want to cry. I don't want to do that.
Which
One thing you left out, actually a couple things you left out. It's visually stunning.
oh yes,
It
yes.
is gorgeous looking. I love to look at it. And when people say the Switch can't do graphics, I mean, I just point them always to this game. And look at this game. It looks awesome.
It's
And
beautiful.
and you can pick up trash. You can clean up the streets. We don't want trash. We don't want trash anywhere.
You can be a good Samaritan. You can play ball with some kids. Yeah.
Astral Chain number 4. Wow. All right. Yeah, I got to get that game. That's a game that's so high up on this list that I so want to get. I got to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it now. I will do it. All right, number 3, the top 3. What have we left off? Number 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is another one of those massive games, right? It's kind of an open world RPG, JRPG. And this game threw me by surprise because I never played the original Xenoblade. I hadn't played the Xenoblade Chronicles X. I jumped right into this, absolutely fell in love with this.
Wait, you played this before X,
Before X, yes.
and you played X after playing this one?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So I did things very backwards,
Yeah.
and the music, phenomenal, right? The gameplay, the combat is the most unique combat I had ever played. It is, and you had mentioned this, I think is with Astral Chain. They layer on the mechanics, and it can get very complex. So initially you're just doing kind of not regular attacks, but you're doing what is it called?
The arts.
Yeah, the arts and your positional area kind of matters on the enemy. So whether you're behind them or kind of on the side of them, that matters. And then they layer on another thing where you can launch enemies and then smash them down. And then they
The
layer
driver arts.
yes, the like
Driver combo.
the driver combos. Driver combos are geez, I'm getting a brain fart
Great.
here.
Topple. Launch.
Yes, those are the driver combos. And then they layer on elemental bursts, so they add elemental damage to this whole situation.
Well,
And
there's also the before the driver combos is the blade combos.
how how can I forget that?
Yeah.
So this just again they layer on all these things, but it all makes sense and it feels so natural. The progression. There are some areas where it can be a little grindy, but the progression for the most part, it all makes sense.
Yep. And
And
you can travel from one part of the world to another seamlessly. It's fast travel right off rip, no questions asked. If you've been to that place, you can now fast travel back and forth to it whenever you want.
mm-hmm.
Some very small caveats to relating to story changes and whatnot, but you can fast travel anywhere, which means you can always return back to different parts of the world to do more side quests, to farm more particular things that you feel like you need to farm, or to satisfy, or to just salvage. Like sometimes you just want to go to a different part of the world because you like the music in that world, or you like how it looks,
Right.
and there's a salvage spot over there, and you want to make some money.
Make money. And another thing with the combat, it felt so natural. Like there was so much to it. Towards the end, it felt like a kind of a rhythm game. You can as you're attacking, you can cancel your attacks, and it does kind of more. It does more damage. It's just the environments are beautiful. The narrative is very, for me, it was very interesting. The voice acting for the main protagonist Rex, it was okay. Some people were irritated by it, but I didn't mind it. The mini game is awful. Do not play the mini game. What is it called again?
What was
Oh,
it called? It was the
oh,
diving game.
yeah, but it was essential if you wanted to get a certain blade up to a certain level. Which was probably one of the better blades in the game, I think.
It's probably the best blade in the game, just because of how versatile it was.
Right, exactly. But there's Poppy is the name of the game. I'm sorry, Tiger is the name of the game. Poppy is the name of the blade.
Tiger. We never would have gotten that.
Nope, never. Um, but it is an absolute must buy if you're an RPG fan and you haven't played this game. You're doing yourself a disservice. As much as I am doing myself a disservice by not getting Astral Chain, you have to get Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And like I had mentioned, this is my first jump into Xenoblade Chronicles. I have yet to play Xenoblade Chronicles the original. I played Xenoblade Chronicles X after this. And man, what a fantastic game from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It almost perfect. Almost actually perfect. In my opinion, it was perfect.
You talking about X or 2?
What's that?
You talking about X or 2?
Oh, 2. X has its appeal.
X is great, but 2, 2 is, as you said, it's pretty much perfection. The story is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The characters and the interaction and the camaraderie of the characters is awesome, and in some moments it is tear-jerkingly excellent.
Right.
Some moments it's quirky and stuff like that. It's got a good range there, but excellent story, visuals top notch. Some of the best visuals you'll get on the Switch, no questions asked. Like
In dock mode, in handheld mode, it can, it's hit or miss there. I played it actually primarily in handheld mode. It goes to show you that, and it doesn't really run well in handheld mode. And that's where I primarily played it, and I absolutely adored this game. Absolutely.
And excellent exploration, if you just want to explore worlds, like these are some of the best worlds that you will ever want to explore, and they're rewarding you for exploring them, whether it be through drops, chests, or just getting the landmark, the special, finding those special hidden landmark
Right.
areas, different unique monsters that are speckled throughout the world, and fighting those unique monsters and getting those little trial things and getting the unique loot from them. And then there's so much to the game. Everything it does, other than the voice acting, is some of the best you'll get in any RPG ever.
Right. Get this game.
Yeah.
These top 3 games, get them.
Yeah.
Get them. All right, so that is number 3. Number 2. You know what? You give number 2.
Number 2, and we don't have to spend too much time on this because everyone's played this. It's The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's obvious. You want to talk about like amazing combat. You want to talk about amazing action. You want to talk about an amazing RPG experience. Well, look no further because Breath of the Wild has all of that, and it dishes it out to you. It doesn't even dish it out to you. It is like a buffet of the best foods you could ever want, all your favorites at the best quality that they could be, and no one's looking. No one's going to judge you. Everyone's having a good time,
Yeah.
and you just take as much food from this smorgasbord of items that you want, and you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, and that is Breath of the Wild.
You're making me hungry. You're making me hungry here. Yeah, it's just, again, it can be, it's as massive as a game as you want to make it, right? So initially you're Link, right? You're awake from this stasis, okay? And you essentially, you got to get yourself off of the plateau, the Great Plateau, and your primary objective after that is just kill Ganon. And you do what you will of that. Like, you can go and try to kill Ganon, or you can try and get help from your friends and kill Ganon.
and, and killing Ganon, you win the game. Like you could get off the Great Plateau in the first hour, and then go kill Ganon and win the game.
Right.
You could beat this game in just a couple hours.
Who is gonna do that?
No one, because the game is just, you're not going to do that because it's just so good. It's the ultimate distraction game.
Right, because you're off of the Great Plateau and you're like, oh, what is that? And you just go, and then you get to wherever it is you were looking at, and then you're like, all right, what is that? And you just go anywhere, do anything. The experimentation with the runes and just the environment in enemy kills is awesome. For example, you could take some metal crates and you can use that as a weapon. There's just so many different varieties of things you can do with enemies. A lot of, like I said, a lot of experimentation. The music in the, I guess you can call it, outside of towns and cutscenes and battle scenes is very minimalistic, and it does that on purpose, and it's perfect. It's perfect for the way the game looks and feels when you're out and about. It doesn't need to be a hard driving soundtrack when you're out and about. It's just there. It trickles in and out, and it just does a great job with the kind of the tone of being out there. I think Zelda herself is a great character. I actually wish there was just a Zelda game playing as Zelda, like a really good one anyway. And I love Zelda as a character. But yeah, Breath of the Wild, you can do and just go wherever you want.
Yeah, everything, absolutely everything in the game is up to your discretion.
Mm-hmm.
Even the storyline, you do not have to learn more about the storyline unless you want to,
Right.
and it's completely up to you to decide.
Yeah,
You don't have to learn anything, or
Mhm.
you can learn it all.
Right. You can fill in your memories and just kind of piece together why you were in that time stasis area. I forget the name of the place.
And you'll be rewarded for it. You'll get an extra bits to the ending of the game based
Mhm.
on whether you satisfy a few certain key conditions to the game, and that will give you a definitive, kind of ending to it.
Ending, right?
There's
Yeah.
so much to it, so much to enjoy, so much to explore. Towns galore, NPCs galore, with their own unique quirkiness. Just by them being. There are some quirky characters, and then there's just lots of side quests that you can go on, and some of them are just presented to you in the most non-side quest way possible.
Right.
All they'll
There's.
say
Yep.
is talk to an NPC, and they'll mention, "Oh yeah, there's this rumor of this thing over there." It's not even something that shows up
Right.
as like, "Do you want to accept this? Yes or no? Here's what you're going to get as a reward." It doesn't say that at all. It's just you talk to someone, they mention something at some other part of the world, and then you could go there, you could not. There's no pinpoint saying go to this place. But then you go there, and lo and behold, that little rumor that you heard is true, and you can actually like do something there. Now there are other side quests which do give you a place to a
Yeah.
marker on the map. There are some of those, but there's a lot of other areas where you just overhear the rumor, or you see a flyer, a poster on a wall, and that is related to something else in the game. That the game, it just doesn't. None of it is shoved in your face, saying here's what you need to do next. None of it.
Some may say that this is the best Legend of Zelda game. And
Uh,
it is. It is.
Absolutely.
Even I'll take my nostalgia glasses off. Link to the Past. Sorry, this is better.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, number one. What have like those two games, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Legend of Zelda, are phenomenal games.
Yeah.
What haven't we mentioned?
Well,
It's
we've mentioned like
oh
games that are like
yes, yes.
this.
Yes, so games that are like Dark Souls Remastered. Wait, this Dark Souls Remastered is very Souls-like in its combat, right? So,
It is.
so I mean, it's another one of those. It takes I guess the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild took a little bit of this out of Dark Souls, whereas the story is what you make of it. Okay, so you can deep dive into the story by looking at item descriptions, listening to NPCs. Like the story is told through item descriptions. Like who in their right mind reads all that stuff? I do. So the story is just it is what you make of it. So you can really get involved and take the story all in, or you can just not just kind of skim over it. Now, in terms of what we're doing here, we've provided you a list of the best action RPGs, and I think, and again, it's a culmination of just action and then RPG, and this game does it all like to a T. Okay, the combat is it's a choreographed dance every time. You have to be perfect. You have to be precise. Um, the RPG elements are now you do have a non-voiced protagonist, but everyone else around you talks, providing you the story. And it's almost it's you and I have this debate with Dark Souls, as I don't think it's a Metroidvania. I think just the world loops back in on itself as you open up shortcuts. But you kind of consider that as Metroidvania. Am I right in that?
It's absolutely a Metroidvania. All of these different environments within this world are all interconnected with no load times in between them.
Right. But
All
my
seamless.
right, but my interpretation of a Metroidvania means that yes, you can go back, but you need a certain power to go back and open up that area. That's
And
kind of my interpretation of that.
yeah, the item gating is what the Metroidvania style games do. They do item gating. Even A Link to the Past is a Metroidvania, or
Right.
or just the Zelda games are Metroidvanias as well, because they also item gate
Mm-hmm.
access from one dungeon to the next, or one part of the overworld to the next part of the overworld, right? And Dark Souls actually does have that to a smaller degree, mostly with keys,
Yeah. Yep.
and sometimes with defeating bosses, where the boss themselves will become the gate that unlocks the next part of the world. But items, there are some items beyond keys that do give you access to other parts of the game. For example, the that teleportation item does give you access. I forgot what it's called. I think it was called like the Black Chalice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That allows you to start teleporting to all the different bonfires that exist within the world, and that gives you access to stuff. When you ring the bell, that gives you access to other parts of the world. It's not so much a power up or an ability that you're now going to also use in combat. It's not so much that, or something that gives you better platforming to a different part of the environment. So you can kind of, the skills you have at the start of the game are going to be the same skills that you're going to have at more or less at the end of the game, or you could beat the game with those same starting skill set.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to rely on anything else that you have acquired afterwards in order to beat the game.
Right.
It'll be very hard.
Very hard. There are people who do it. There
Oh
are.
yeah, there are the nude runs.
Yes. But again, as I was saying, it's each combat occurrence is like a dance, right? It's like a dance off, and you have to be very precise. Where even your distance between your character and your enemy, when you go to swing your sword, if you don't hit it with the meat of the sword or the right part of the sword, you're not going to do the maximum amount of damage. And there are people who have done all the math. Like this game is that precise.
It is. If you bring a long sword into a tight corridor, you're going and you swing that thing horizontally, you're gonna bang it against the wall before you even hit it against the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that, okay, I can't do horizontal wide swings. I got to do thrusts or use a shorter bladed weapon like a dagger in this very tight corridor. Else I'm gonna constantly bang it up against the walls or what have you. So it's down to that level of exactness, that level of refinement to the combat system. It is very accurate, and the best compliment about Dark Souls is that you're gonna die a lot, but you're gonna know exactly why you died, and you'll know it was because of your own fault and not because of some random, bull shenanigans
Right.
that against something that was outside of your control.
Right.
Everything that happens in the game is completely within your control, and it's just a matter of you failing and not the game causing you to fail.
Right. And that's where the term "get good" comes from. Right. It's from this game. It's really you have to get better. You have to be better.
Yep.
And yeah, this just and this there's that sense of a accomplishment when you get stuck on an enemy, right? And then you finally figure out its cadence, you figure out its move set, and you work your way around it and you kill an enemy that you've been stuck on. Is just that sense of accomplishment is it can be so overwhelming. You're like, oh, thank God I made it, and then on to the next difficult enemy. And yeah, I Dark Souls 3 is actually my favorite of the Dark Souls series.
Yep.
But we don't have that here. We have Dark Souls Remastered, and it is a really good remastered version of the game.
It's the best iteration of the original Dark Souls game, and Dark Souls deserves special recognition for spawning not only a fantastic franchise, but Bloodborne comes from Dark Souls,
Mm,
Sekiro comes from Dark Souls, and all the other Dark Souls or Souls-like games, which we have mentioned on this very list, like
right,
Soul Sanctuary, Ashen, right? Dark Souls is responsible for spawning all of that. It
right.
is such a huge legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if you ever wondered what happened to the Castlevania franchise, Castlevania went nowhere. Dark Souls is Castlevania.
Bloodborne is Castlevania.
Bloodborne's closer. Yeah,
Closer.
way closer.
But that's our list. That is our list. What do you guys think of the list? Is there something that we did not put on there that you might have stuck in there? I really don't think so.
No.
If we forgot it, it's because it doesn't belong on here.
The ratings might be a little off, though. Maybe some people would put, Trials of Mana at number
Sure.
1 instead of Dark Souls.
Sure. I mean, but it's on the list.
Yep.
It's on the list.